Today, I wanted to talk to you about some tips and strategies that can help you manage stress to reduce anxiety. Before I dive in, though, I wanted to ask you a question. Have you ever found yourself feeling like you are tangled up in this web of stress and anxiety? If you have, my friend, you are not alone. Here's the thing, a lot of people, myself, I used to think this. A lot of people think that stress and anxiety are the same thing, but they're actually two different things. In fact, stress and anxiety are more like distant cousins than identical twins. So, yes, they are different. And understanding that difference can really be a game changer when it comes to your mental well being. So, what's the deal between stress and anxiety? Well, stress and anxiety share a lot of the same symptoms, but there's one main difference that I want to talk about today. Think about stress. It's like that nagging to do list, right? It's always in the back of your mind, while anxiety is that what if monster that's making you dread the future. Stress is typically triggered by something outside of ourselves, an external response, an external situation. So maybe you got a flat tire, or maybe there's a tight work deadline coming up. Now, before I move on to anxiety, I do want to mention two different types of stress today. Stress can be acute or stress can be chronic. Now, acute stress, that's the short lived kind. It's usually tied to a specific event or situation. So once that event passes, the stress usually fades away. Chronic stress, however, it usually sticks around. So it's more like that constant companion. It often leads to or exacerbates anxiety issues. So with acute stress, again, once you remove that stressor, the symptoms associated with it usually go away. Chronic stress, on the other hand, it tends to stick around. It's harder to get rid of. Now, anxiety is usually an internal response, something coming from inside of ourselves, like worrying about some unknown experience ahead of us. So, why are stress and anxiety often confused? Well, stress and anxiety oftentimes hit at the same time. And when these two team up, it's like a double whammy on your mental state. Unchecked, stress can actually fuel your anxiety levels, and that is no good, right? So, how do you spot the signs? How do you know if you're stressed or anxious? Well, your body's going to give you some not so subtle hints. Here are some of them: headache, maybe an increased heartbeat, maybe you find yourself shaking or shivering or sweating. Maybe you lose your appetite, you have no interest in food, or you have a hard time sleeping. Maybe you struggle to focus, or you're breathing fast, you're irritable, restless, or angry. You have those recurring thoughts that keep you up at night and you're grinding your teeth. Now, that, of course, is not an inclusive list, but there's more. The symptoms that I just shared with you, they could be common to either stress or anxiety or both, but there are some nuances. So, when you're stressed out, it often comes with that muscle tension, that sense of feeling overwhelmed, and even fatigue. Anxiety, it might include that sense of impending doom, excessive worry, and even physical symptoms like nausea. Now, of course, either can go with either, but anxiety often brings about those recurring thoughts that can keep you up at night. So you're just going over and over the same worries. I know that happens to me sometimes. So, does stress affect anxiety? Yes. Research shows that stress actually has a significant influence on our anxiety levels. So, when stress becomes chronic, when it's that constant companion that just doesn't go away, it essentially paves the way for anxiety to take center stage. So if the stress goes unmanaged over an extended period, it can escalate into severe episodes of anxiety. And this, in a large part, is due to that hormone cortisol. When we're stressed out, cortisol spikes and it has a direct impact on our emotional state. Elevated cortisol levels can make it challenging for us to maintain a positive mindset, which can lead to heightened anxiety that can have detrimental effects on our overall well being. So, how can we reduce stress to help manage anxiety? Getting a handle on our stress can be a key factor in helping to manage our anxiety. So, I'm going to share with you today some of my favorite strategies to help reduce stress and manage anxiety. The first tip I want to share with you today is to increase your physical activity. Here's the thing: physical activity, it's not just about fitness, right? It's also essential for our mental health and well being. A sedentary lifestyle where we're not moving very much, not only does that ramp up stress, but it also can enhance our anxiety. So maybe you'll choose to go for a sunrise walk. Maybe you'll practice yoga or go do a full on gym workout or take a walk on your lunch break. Whatever you choose, How can you make movement a non negotiable part of your day? Trust me, your mind, your body, and your spirit will thank you. Let's talk about eating nourishing foods because let's face it, what we put on our plate, it's not just fuel, it is building blocks for our mental well being. So instead of always reaching for highly processed or sugar packed options, not that those don't have their time and their place in a balanced diet, but for the most part, how can you aim for a more colorful array of fruits and veggies? Eating the rainbow. But don't stop at fruits and veggies. Incorporate lean proteins like chicken or plant based options like lentils and chickpeas. How can you add in whole grains, maybe quinoa or brown rice? And don't forget the healthy fats like nuts and avocados. Now, by focusing on a balanced meal that includes fiber and protein and healthy fats, you can help to set the stage for a more stress resilient and less anxious you. All right, tip number three, my friend, drink more water. You may know this already, but about 60% of your body is water. And that is why staying hydrated is so important. Staying hydrated is going to help to keep our kidneys flushed out of toxins and keep stress and anxiety at bay. Now, the general recommendation is to aim for about 8 cups of water a day. But of course, this can vary person to person depending on your activity level and the climate where you're at. But here are a few tips because I know hydration can be challenging. So, tip number one is to set a reminder. Use your phone to remind you to take a sip of water every hour. What about add some flavor? If plain water is boring for you, it's not appealing, it's going to be hard to drink it, right? So you can add a squeeze of lemon or lime for a zesty twist. Just add something to help flavor it. And my third and final tip for today is to carry a reusable water bottle. This one has been a game changer for me because having that water within arm's reach really makes it easier to stay on track. All right, let's move on to my next tip, and that is to cut down on your sugar intake, caffeine, and alcohol. Moderation in all things. So, consuming caffeine and sugary drinks and alcohol can actually affect our immune system because it can cause inflammation, it can disrupt nutrient absorption, and it can even mess with our sleep. A weakened immune system, it's going to make us more susceptible to stress and to anxiety, which creates this vicious cycle that's tough to break. So, while that sugary latte or second or third glass of wine might seem tempting at the time, they could be doing more harm than good depending on your situation when it comes to stress and anxiety management. So, again, moderation is key. All right, this next tip is near and dear to my heart. And again, easier said than done, but it's to quit smoking. You may not know this, but I used to be a pack a day smoker, and I smoked mainly for the stress relief that it seemed to offer. Here's the kicker, that relief is an illusion. Smoking gives you a quick dopamine hit. It feels good temporarily, but as that nicotine wears off, withdrawal kicks in, and you are back to square one. And oftentimes you feel even more stressed out. Plus, let's not forget the health toll, right? You've got heart issues potentially, a weakened immune system, perhaps. That just adds a whole nother layer of stress. And to top it off, smoking spikes your cortisol levels. So, again, it's going to make it harder to keep stress and anxiety in check. So while I get it, it feels like a quick fix. Smoking actually perpetuates that cycle of stress and anxiety that's so hard to break. All right, take a deep breath, my friend. Inhale and let it go. Got a few more tips for you today to help manage stress to reduce anxiety. And my next tip, this is a big one. It's to manage your personal and your professional life because we all know that our interactions with others can be stressful from time to time, right? So, another question for you. Do you ever feel like you are torn between balancing the demands of work and your personal time? If you do, you are not alone. But here's the thing, cultivating balance or harmony or a rhythm, whatever word resonates with you the most, cultivating some semblance of balance between your personal and your professional lives is essential because leaning too far into one area can really throw the other area out of balance. So, the end result of that, a whole lot of stress and anxiety, and who needs that? So make it a point to carve out time for both your personal life and your professional life. I know it's challenging, but when you make that concerted effort to do that, you're going to set yourself up for more balance. And I mean, let's face it, a much more happy life. All right, I've got two more tips for you today. The next one is to develop a proper sleep schedule. So, if you are skimping on sleep, like so many of us do when we get busy and stressed out and overwhelmed, it is a recipe for even more stress and anxiety. Most adults need a solid 7 to 8 hours of sleep. And when we allow ourselves that time, it's like a system reboot for your body and your mind. You wake up feeling more refreshed, more focused. And guess what? You're probably going to be a whole lot more productive when you get a good night's sleep. The best part is that quality sleep is a natural stress reducer. So it's going to help you to set the stage for a healthier, happier, more balanced you. All right, my final tip for today. You could consider exploring over the counter options for stress relief, like certain types of vitamins or supplements. Now, vitamin B complex, for example, is a go to for stress management. Not only does it nourish your brain, but it also helps to promote a sense of calm. Just a heads up though, make sure that you are consulting with your healthcare provider before you start any new medication or supplement. All right, my friend, we have covered a lot today. So, when do you need to reach out for support or help? First of all, there's no wrong time to reach out for support or help, right? So, if you are feeling that you might need support or help, go ahead and reach out, ask somebody for support. But if you've tried all these stress busting techniques in the book and you are still feeling overwhelmed, you're still feeling stressed out, you're still feeling anxious, that's a good sign that it might be time to seek out some professional guidance. So don't hesitate to schedule an appointment with your healthcare provider. Before you go, I don't know if you're like me, I get anxious when I get to the doctor. So before you go, jot down your thoughts or what could be triggering your stress and anxiety. Make a list ahead of time of the questions that you want to ask because this is going to help you to have a much more productive conversation about your mental and your emotional well being. While you're there, make sure that you feel free to ask your doctor anything and everything. You are there to get the best treatment plan for you. So, whether that's therapy or medication or a combination of both, follow the recommendations diligently for your best outcome. Whew, we covered a lot. Let's take a deep breath and let it go. There you have it. Stress and anxiety are like two peas in a pod. They feed off each other in ways that can really, unfortunately, take a toll on your mental well being. Long term stress, it doesn't just put you in a bad mood, it can ramp up your anxiety levels and it can seriously affect your overall health. But here's the good news, you have options. So, from balancing work and play to getting quality sleep and even considering supplements, there are actionable steps that you can take to help manage your stress and, by extension, your anxiety. So why not give some of these a try? Your future self will thank you. So I hope this was helpful. If it was, be sure you give it a like and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss anything I put out. And if you know a friend that would resonate with this or benefit from it, feel free to share it with them as well. All right, my friend, I'll see you next time. Wishing you a day full of peace and presence.